This is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast, session number 182. Bob Burns on hypnotic experiences.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
Welcome back to the program, you, as well as welcome back to the program, Bob Burns. Direct from Scotland, Bob was previously on the program back in August 2016 for session number 74, which we'll link to that first conversation in the show notes over at worksmarthypnosis.com. And having reconnected with Bob, whether it was at the HypnoThoughts live convention this year or just interacting online, I've been meaning to have Bob back on the program to hear some of the updates on his work and just some incredible stories of being in the moment with a client, getting some really fascinating changes. And what's really interesting here is highlighting how he's someone who really makes use of hypnotic phenomenon, but then uses it as a motivation towards the change. So rather than just the hypno stunt, as you'll hear me refer to it, instead, bringing that into the change process as a mechanism to let that subconscious mind truly begin to communicate and really get that change in motion. We also reconnected because coming up in March 2019, there's actually two opportunities for you to be there at a training featuring Bob. We're actually going to do a bit of a double event here, the weekend of Saturday and Sunday, March 23rd and 24th. I'm going to be hosting Bob here in the Washington, D.C. area, and then immediately after that is going to be March 30th and 31st in the Chicago area. Bob will be there as well. So sign up for one or, hell, attend to both because they're both going to be outstanding events. I'm definitely there for the DC. I'm kind of working on freeing up my schedule for Chicago. Just someone who I've been wanting to spend some time with, and the greedy aspect of it is let's put together a training. A couple of other great folks involved with this, David Ruby as well as Karen Hand, helping to bring Bob over from Scotland and really get some incredible strategies to use with your clients and really work with people in a highly interactive, very magical way. All the details on both of these trainings can be found on the same website, bobburnsswannusa.com, which again, we're going to link to that over in the show notes at worksmarthypnosis.com. Though it's pretty easy to remember here, so Bob Burns, Swan, as in the bird, USA, like the country.com. And that's going to have all the details for the training that's going to be in the Washington, D.C. area, as well as Chicago over at, again, Bob Burns, Swan, USA. Check out this conversation. Hear some incredible stories of helping people facilitate some really magical changes. And of course, join us in March 2019 as we bring Bob back over here to the States. And with that, let's jump directly into this conversation. This is session number 182, Bob Burns on hypnotic experiences. For someone who's been on here before, and it's been about 2 years' time, what is perhaps some sort of new belief system or new way of thinking that you found yourself developing since the last time we connected here on the program?
That's a great question. And if you told me that beforehand, maybe even 5-10 minutes ago, I would have come up with a really clever thing, a monster in it. Well, I'll tell you what I've got. I've got a thing going right now. We just had a thing called The Gathering here in Scotland. I don't know if you knew about that.
Yes.
We had it last Saturday, and there was a pain, kind of a pain convention. It wasn't really so much a convention. I got the idea, it is my way of thinking, and it is something I feel strongly about, Jason. So we had a gathering, and we got a full house. It was really a great day, and we've already booked to run it again. So it was mainly for people doing a pain day, and we got 6 people to present. So what happened was, forums have been doing my head in for some time now, and yet that's where I get the chance to talk to people to make things happen. But I've had lots and lots of people, and you're already aware of where I am, and anyone listening will know what I'm saying when I say that. We get lots and lots of people who are talking about they do this, they have this protocol, they have this thing, they have this way of taking away people's pain, and it works in one session, and everyone's raving about them, and so on and so forth. So sometime about 5 months ago, so I kind of came out from just about every forum out there, and I opened up a thing called Bob Burns Hypnotherapy. I think I got a little bit sulky, to be honest. Yeah. So I just thought, I'm just going to do this here.
What do you mean by that?
Talk to me here, but I will not. Well, and here's the thing. I made a £500,000 offer, £500,000 in sterling. I think it's something like $300 million. I'm not sure. I can't do the figures, but it's a lot. It's a lot of money. So I got this guy, not me, but I got this guy to say yes, that would be worthwhile offering $500,000 of my money to do. So I invited on my thing Bob Burns Hypnotherapy. If anyone wants to join, you're very welcome. So in my little forum, I offered £500,000 to anyone who, if they really believe they have this great pain protocol or therapy, come to me. Come to me in Montrose in Scotland. We'll film it. I'll pay for the film crew and everything, and we'll put your film out there. But I'll choose the people. You won't know anybody you're coming to see. And we'll get maybe it's worthwhile doing. It's worthwhile doing right. We'll get a dozen or 24 people together. You'll do your thing, and I'll give you the best advert you've ever had in your life. I'll send it out to the world, and I will give you £500,000 if what you say is true. However, if what you say is not true or wrong, that film will still go out. And the funny thing is, Jason, nobody phoned, nobody rang, no one sent flowers. No one wrote any letters. Yeah. and since then, just like last weekend when I mentioned this, and everybody in the room knew about it, but there were 2 or 3 people who never knew. And it goes like this. It goes in 3 areas. They say, "Oh, I never knew that," and I say, "Yeah, but you know now." And they go, "Oh," and nothing happens. Yeah. So that's it. So my thing now, I'm big in pain, as we all should be big in pain.
Yes.
But I'm big in pain honesty, about who we are, what we do, and not to tell the newbies who are coming here, I'm a miracle worker and you should be this by the time you've finished your course. So a little bit of honesty in pain therapy, I think, would go a long way. Yeah.
Well, I think in general, across all markets that we'd possibly work with, that I'm trying to find the other side of that, though, that there's some appropriate level of expectation that we can build, some level of, yes, there is an appropriate stacking of the deck. Here's a majority of clients in one category that have been successful. And of course, I'm only putting up testimonials from those people. And we can look at that expectation as being part of that system. But I love the intention of let's bring the transparency into the process of here's what can help for, here's what we can work together on. And it's where this almost chasing down of the magic technique is where I see a lot of people getting frustrated, as opposed to, I could imagine there's people that you work with that the Swan Protocol doesn't play into it at times, does it?
No, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
People I don't touch for that. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was doing this stuff long before I found the Swan Protocol. Yeah.
Right. How do you go about making that decision as to when you pull out the bird and when you leave it in its cage, as it were?
Well, I don't anymore. So what happens with anyone when they come and see me? Hi, come in. How are you? Where are you from? That's great. What's the problem again? We spoke on the phone. Okay, that's right. Did you bring your manual with you? They look at me as if I'm an idiot. So you never brought a manual, so you don't know how you work? Damn it, that's a pity. So I don't know how you work either. But tell me a little bit about it. I let them talk for 20 seconds, no longer than that. And if I'm mentoring some people, Jason, they get a shock at this point when I turn around and say, well, here's the good news. You don't have a problem. That is, you don't have a conscious problem. That tells me you have a subconscious problem, which tells me it's all inside you, but it's totally outside your control. Would that be about right? And they always say, yes, that's right. Because that's the fact. That's why they come to see hypnotherapists. So then I say, okay, let's have a bit of fun. If you don't have a conscious problem, that means you have a subconscious problem. It's all inside you. It's totally outside your control. I might as well stop talking to you. So excuse my really, really bad manners. Let me go talk to your subconscious. Are you right-handed or left-handed? And whatever they say, of course, I pick up their left hand. And then I just say, I'm going to now talk to your subconscious. We'll see what happens. Don't worry about it. I don't expect anything to happen. I'm quite pessimistic in the therapy room, but I'm a positive pessimist. Let's do this and see what happens. 1 or 3 things will happen. Either your hand will move, which would be wonderful, or it won't move, but you'll feel something trying to move, which would be interesting. Or nothing will move at all, and that's okay because I just get some feedback. I want to know a little bit about how you work because remember you told me you've never brought your manual. At this point in time, they're looking at me as if I'm crazy. But they have no idea what's going to happen in the next 15 seconds. and that's when the magic happens. So I'll always go with the bird now. Always. That's the deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Well, I think it really highlights that, we're often told that they need to come in, we need to do the thorough intake, take all the details, take the entire history. And I flashed to a moment. I had this young girl who had a fear involving things on television, and that session could not begin until I crawled under my desk, unplugged my computer screens, and threw the iPad I use for note-taking in the other room. Because she had been doing this whole systematic desensitization somewhere else, which was making things worse in her case. And until I was able to utter the phrase and really demonstrate, we do things differently here, it was probably going to have the same response that everything else she had done at that point was having.
Yeah. So my first visit gets rid of it. By the way, I have no problems with people who do the big outtake. I spent 25 years of my life doing that. That's the way I was trained, and in clinical psychology and stuff like that. So I get that. But at this point in time, I'm not interested in whether I don't want to fix them. I do a consultation. My consultation is to find out whether I can work with them or not. As you know, Jason, I'm totally scripted in everything I do. That's where I am. I don't read a script, but I am totally scripted, and there's a huge difference there. So when they come to see me, the line is, well, hey, let's pop along for the consultation. I charge this amount of money. I put it in a box, and if I don't feel I can work with you, I can't hypnotize you, I give you the money back. Is that okay? Great. So pop along for the consultation. So when they pop along for the consultation, I will find out if I can work with them within 30 seconds. So that saves a lot of time. Yeah, that's the way to do it, I think. Yeah.
And what is it you're looking for specifically in that 30 seconds, would you say?
Well, I'm looking for contact. It's my line. I'm looking for contact because we already know they're okay. The guy comes to see me. Well, I had it was a big day for me today. I'm quite tired. I saw 7 clients. I normally see between 4 and 5 in a day. So 7 clients today, I'm a little bit tired, but it's always the same thing. They've been to the doctor. The doctor's sent them to the psychologist, who maybe pulled in cognitive behavioral therapists. In some case, we've got psychiatry is there. But all these people, in my experience, are talking to them at a conscious level, and they're telling them what the challenge is and how they need to be positive and so on. And it's all good. It's all really great stuff. But none of them have a conscious problem. They all have a subconscious problem. So everyone's talking to the client. The client's fine. Client knows exactly what it is. They agree with them 100%. They're looking at this cognitive behavioral therapist, psychologist, and thinking, Jesus, they know their stuff. That's what the other 5 people said. This must be true. But no matter how positive I am, nothing seems to happen. What's going on there? Then I tell them to sit back. I tell them I've got bad manners. I'm not going to talk to you. They're looking as if I'm an idiot. And the hand turns. So that's the difference. It's a little difference that makes a big difference for me. Yeah. Yeah.
I love this, the opening frame of I've got bad manners, which again, it just gives you permission to.
Yeah. Well, if you smile, Jason, I discovered from William Clement Stone back in the late 60s and 70s, if you smile, you can do most things. Yeah. But you have to smile and nod your head. You get away with it, yeah. So humor can bridge things for us, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a story that kind of sticks out of someone you've worked with in recent months of kind of that immediate response of getting that 30-second feedback, and then immediately there you are into the work?
Well, yeah. In fact, both things. There's the ones where I get the response, and the ones where I get no response, but the magic happens. So that's the whole. How this stuff works. I mean, on Saturday at the gathering there, I got a lovely girl called Jilly. Hopefully some of these people might hear this. She came out, I sit her down, I tell everybody it doesn't work all the time, we'll have a go here. And if I fail, that's great. You'll get to see me fail. That would be wonderful. It shows you that I'm not that clever, but maybe somebody will work with this lovely lady later and get a result. So I talk to her. We do the thing, the finger switches, the hand moves a little bit. And I say, wouldn't it be great if you can move the finger and you can move the hand? Wouldn't it be great if you could say, hello, Bob, to me? Wouldn't it be fantastic if you could just speak to me? The woman's looking at me, bless her, quite rightly so, as if I'm an idiot. And she starts to shake her head slowly. She's just shaking her head and looking at me as if and it's one, I haven't seen the film yet, but it'll come out exactly like that, I promise you. She's shaking her head and looking at me, shaking her, she does nothing. And then suddenly she says, hello. And of course the room kind of erupts. We go from the next stage to hello again, because I've asked her the question, as you know, Jason, do you think you did that just to please me? Was it social compliance? They'll either say maybe or I don't think so. Okay, we'll try not to this next time. I get a hello the second time. And on the third time, I tell them, well, don't open your mouth. This time, fight me. Up to now, I've been telling you just to let me walk. So do not, whatever happens, is that okay? And she's pretty determined to me do it again. Of course, I get a big, loud hello. If I can do that, and I can't fix them, for me that would take a special skill. And luckily, Jason, I don't have that skill. So we're in there. So it's all about the contacts with me. If I'm contacting the part that said to me, yes, you're contacting me, I'm the part, real or imagined, remember. I'm the part, real or imagined, and you're talking to me. So let's know, okay, well, it's great to wave a finger. It's great to move a hand. It's great to say hello, but that's kind of just having fun, isn't it? Can you fix them? Can I put the spider in their hand now? Can I pull out the cotton wool that they're afraid of? Can they stand up and do that talk tomorrow night and feel great? So then we put it to the test. The finest thing, of course, is to put it to the test. That's a big thing. Yeah.
What I love about that is finding a moment. Let's just very simply define that as a moment of hypnotic phenomena, that something magical is happening that they weren't expecting, but then immediately harnessing that, leveraging that, and putting it into use towards the motivation of the actual change, rather than just hypno stunt where some people would leave some things, instead utilizing as the entry point into the change.
Yeah. It's we've got to do that. We've got to move, and all the people I talk to anytime I ask the question, do you check your work? Because I'm a psychoanalyst. That was my background. I checked nothing. I had a goatee beard and a pinstripe suit and a polka dot tie. I looked $1 million, man, but I checked nothing, and I looked really, really clever. I had all the lines and checked nothing. Now I stick them to the chair. I stick them to the table. I give them 12 fingers. They can't remember where they lived, and I do it hopefully in a comedic area, because if I can stick the hand, I can stick them to the goal. If I can get them to forget the name, I can get them to forget the problem. Although all of that at times will not be true. I need to do other stuff as well. But I've got that. I've got a few arrows in the quiver. We're ready for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So then what's sort of the developments? Because I know there's some new elements I've been hearing of. I haven't yet been able to go into the content, which is part of where the greedy admission is part of helping to host these events coming up in March 2019, as I want to be there and be a student for this. But I've heard the Swan has begun to speak in recent years.
Well, yes. Well, it's actually when the Swan first came out, Jason. If anybody has the Swan and they look at it, they'll see people's mouths moving, but in silence, and that's been going back now 8 years or so. Yeah. And when I saw the guy who produced it, I says, "What did you do with the speaking parts?" And he pulled out a sheet of paper and he stuck it under my face and he says, "This is the brief you gave me." And I looked at it and I says, "Yeah, he's right." Because when they all started speaking, I was shocked. He was shocked. He was behind camera turning pure white, but all these parts started talking to me. So he decided to cut all of them out when he developed the Swan DVD. So it was always there. But I decided, well, why don't I take a year or two and then develop this part itself, and find out things to do and things not to do, things to make it better, things not to do because that makes it worse, and see if I can develop it there. So we now have this thing that's out now, don't we? It's I don't sell much stuff. I only have a Swan DVD and a Swan download called the Swan Speaks that I sell through my forums, I think you buy through Vimeo or something. And that's mainly what I took out some months ago, about 6 months ago. But I've got people all speaking and the parts speaking to me. And what I discovered was that very often, and that's what I discovered over the years, that sometimes Jason comes in because he's got a problem. And when I'm talking to Jason, by asking a simple question, if I get the part that talks to me, I can sometimes say, "What about you? I know you're here and you help Jason, you do this, but what about you? Do you need help in any way?" And there's complete surprise. And then that part, again, real or imagined, says, "Well, yes." And I said, "Well, maybe I could help you." So I've now got a situation where Jason's come along, he's given me $100. He's sitting there with his eyes closed, and this part is talking through him, asking how I can do some work with the part. But if I can do some work with the part will normally do some work with Jason. That's simply been my findings. And I invite people to try that and come back to me and give me their reports. Rather than me tell them that's a fact, I ask them to work with that. So the Swan Speaks is a big thing for me now, and that's what we'll be doing when I see you guys out there in Virginia and Chicago in March. It's going to be good fun.
That phrasing of "was that you"? Are there moments where, and I mean, we can apply this to any style of hypnotic work where the client is speaking in the process of, where they'd almost be doubtful of the process after the work, where they'd be almost inquisitive or, let's say, skeptical of it?
The answer is yes, but hardly ever now.
Yeah.
Something magical happens in a moment where you'd think if somebody's hand turns, they would start screaming, but they don't. There's like an inner knowledge that happens along with it. It's quite bizarre. And one of the strangest ones I got was a guy called, let's call him David, yeah? And he came along to see me. He's 53 years old, and he wants to run a marathon. That's about 26 miles, isn't it? And he has sore thighs after about 13, 14 miles. So I don't know anything about marathons. I just say, well, that's half of 26. Why don't you run half marathons? And I thought he was going to punch me. He was crazy, yeah? So move on 5 minutes, and I've now got his hand turning and him talking to me. And then move on another 10 minutes, and we've got a completely different thing happening now. We've got a part within him claiming to be German, and move on another 10 minutes, and he tells me that he doesn't speak any German in any way, shape, or form. And move on to the end of the session, and now we've got a highly emotional guy who claims to be this part, but in a past life. Something that I don't practice. I used to do that for a bit of fun. I'm not really a past life regressionist, although I've done hundreds of these cases. But real or imagined, here comes that term again, Jason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Real or imagined, this guy who's come to see me at 8 o'clock on a Monday night, driven 150 miles, he's speaking to me in German, and he's telling me he doesn't speak German, but he was a German doctor in the 1940s who committed suicide. So I have to pay attention to that, yeah? I know there's lots of arguments there of why that could be other than, what I'm saying. I get that, but I have to pay attention to that. So where it moves into completely different areas. And we'll come back to the question, who the hell are we, I mean, what is it, 28 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang. We've been around for millions of years, sure we have, but the type of being we are now, that took place about 600,000 years ago. And if we squash all that time down to 1 year, the Homo sapiens that we are now, we arrived 2 seconds before New Year's Eve, we don't know who the hell we are on the planet. So we've got lots of highly intelligent people who are cognitive thinkers saying, this is what we are. On the other side of the coin, we've got woo-woo, yeah? Mm-hmm. But I think there's room in between there to say, well, maybe there's this, and maybe there's that, and maybe it's true, yeah? So I like this little part of my life now that I can get involved in, and I can talk openly about it that I wouldn't dream of doing when I was working, let's say, in Harley Street, with my little letters after my name. I couldn't talk openly like this. But now in my 68th year, I don't have to worry too much about it. I can just say, these are my findings.
I forget who it was. There was someone there was an old story around, I'm racking my brain on the name, but it was the whole thing of like, oh yeah, he used to get up and speak at conventions about the fact that there was no past lives. And then in his later years, he was, and the joke was, he's just widening his options. No, it's where I'd look at it all and go, prove either direction. And it's where, for those that have been around me personally, I live in this place of what I've coined as apathetic agnosticism of going, which it could be a little bit of every direction, but it's where, to be the chameleon with the client or to be so open to some other different way of thinking about something. And it's from that interaction that suddenly we find, again, I love that you keep coming back to the phrase real or imagined, that it's from their perceptions, it's from their connection as to where the process really takes shape. Which what I wanted to ask you, which having now trained a lot of people in the way that you work, it's always interesting to see when a specific process flourishes even further, because now other people are taking it into their hands, other people are taking it into their office with their clients. Have there been any developments now that other people have been now using these techniques for years?
Oh yeah, I mean it goes on. I've got lots. I've never actually developed Swan trainers, although I have Rob de Groof in Belgium. It's a thing I've never done, and I'm thinking of doing maybe for next year. I don't know if you know what? It's just I don't know if I can be bothered. I don't. That's the truth of it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to, but I think I'm going to be forced to because a few really good people have asked me to, and I might do something there. But so there's, I mean, the Swan is a part of a 16-step process that I do that's called the Master Consultation. Really, the Swan's just a part of that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if I dump the Swan tomorrow, I'd be fine, and everybody else would be just fine. Of course they would. Yeah. It's just a pebble I found on a beach. That's all that it is. It's quite a nice pebble, but there's lots of wonderful therapists as good, and if not far better than I, who've never heard of the Swan, and that's the way it should be, of course. Yeah. So yes, it will move into other things. It has moved into other things, and even right now as we speak, we're moving in other stuff with the Swan, and hopefully we're going to be turning out some other stuff. Maybe by March, with a little bit of luck, just areas that we want to go along with it. We're pulling things into it. So, for example, I get a guy called Lance Baker from Sydney, Australia, who says to me, any chance of doing a thing on spiritual healing? And I laugh and I say, well, I don't think I can take spiritual healing into hypnosis. It would get laughed at. And he says, but you've been doing this since the 70s. I was an accredited healer long before I did hypnosis. And I said, yeah. He said, well, should we run up the flagpole and see what happens? And I said, yeah, we can do that and see how it goes. And he contacts me that same evening and says, we've got 20 people would like, they've purchased tickets. They want to learn about this, linked to hypnotherapy, and also linked to hypnotherapy. I teach people how to see auras. We can have some good fun with that. And it's something I've done since I was all my life. I thought everybody could, and then around about the age of 12 and that, I realised there were some people not seeing stuff that I saw. I make no claims about it, by the way. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. I can't read them. I even seriously considered pretending I could read them. That would have been good fun, but it wouldn't have been true. I spent a lot of time teaching lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming and the Swan for me absolutely go hand in glove in many, many ways of everything I do. So, in fact, the lucid dreaming is a big thing I'm hoping to do in 2019. I just come back from the Holy Isle in the west coast of Scotland 3-4 weeks ago, working with a whole team of Buddhists over there, and it was just great fun. We live a third of our life we sleep. What a waste of time that would be. So people who are lucid in dream state can be far more lucid in the waking state, and I'll be doing a bit of that when I come over to Virginia and Chicago as well, Jason. We'll throw that into the mix. It's something I feel strong about, yeah?
Yeah, so that place where the work has continued to develop, any discoveries that other people have made using your process you can think of?
Well, what I've got claims that other people have told me about using my process, and all I've got is their claims of the stuff that they say they've discovered. So, for example, I use the Swan with somebody who comes to me with bad eyesight, yeah? Mm-hmm. So I have a bit of fun with them. And lo and behold, this 78-year-old woman doesn't quite throw her glasses away, but she sees clearly without her glasses. In fact, not only does she go through the chart, when it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, but she gets to the 9th line and she points out a typo, an error that I made. And I'm quite excited about this because remember, Jason, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I thought it'd be good to have a bit of fun. And ask this one, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you do this? And can you do this with bells on? So I get some great results. So I tell some of my Swan students, my Swan colleagues about this. They go off. But since then, I've got a lad from Belgium who's come and said he was using the Swan for a woman just recently. And not only did... my client, to let you understand, it lasted for 10 hours. Yeah? So the 78-year-old woman could see perfectly for 10 hours. But with my hand in my heart, I'd have to say what I did is I relaxed the hell out of her with the Swan. And as we get older, our eyes get more tireder. And I think we just put a whole boost of strength into her eyes. I don't know anything else about it. I'm not an expert in that. I don't know anything about it. I think that's what happened. But my guy tells me that he's had somebody throwing away their glasses. They see perfectly. Well, I want to applaud him, but I haven't seen that. I haven't witnessed that. Until that happens, you know what? I don't really believe that. So I need to go there. I need to touch them. I need to see them.
I'm flashing to the most extremely random reference I can come up with right now, which is an old Canadian sketch comedy group. Kids in the Hall had a line one time on one of their albums, which was that is an old man just kind of rambling about something, going, "Hey, get a clock radio. That's the kind of life you're going to lead." And just something about that phrase of, whether it's the dependence. I could look skeptically and say, depending on the dependency upon the glasses before I had lasers shot in my eyeballs, of moments of, I felt I needed them all the time when really, no, I was just nearsighted and didn't quite need them all the time. And, sometimes the thing heals and she doesn't need the walker anymore.
Yeah.
So what I love about this dialogue, though, is that continuation of taking something. When you refer to that entire system of how you work with people, what are some of those other elements that would come into that?
So I'm trying to think if you're guiding me in a certain area you want me to talk about. So the Swan. I mean, here's the challenge that I have, Jason. Mm-hmm. Rather than me tell people what I think, I just report stuff. I mean, I'm a full-time therapist, yeah. So a lot of people forget that I get up every Monday, I go to work. And although I'm trying to get down to a 3-day week, I'm being highly unsuccessful at doing it. I wanted to go out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I'm mainly a full-time therapist. I do a bit of training and I do a lot of mentoring, private mentoring, that people come here. But I'm a full-time therapist, so I just report what happens. So if I was to say this to you, for example, that 25 years ago, I walked into a room in a place called Rhynie in the Highlands of Scotland. I saw a person go into trance. A part came through and spoke to us, and that pulled me right back to even my earlier stuff in the 60s and early 70s in spiritualism. And now we're looking at what the Americans would call channeling, yeah? And I see that happening. Again, here comes the term, real or imagined. But the party came through didn't claim to be a male or a female from a past life, but claimed to be an energy. How about that? From somewhere like 15,000 light years away, who was neither male or female, but lived in the edge of this planet and was an energy, 30 of your Earth miles, yeah, up in the air. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, what a waste of a Saturday morning for me. Yeah, for me. Bob Burns. It's not fair for me. I'm advanced from this. This is ridiculous. But what if I was to tell you that, 25 years later, I get lots of that stuff. I get lots of highly intelligent people come and see me, don't believe anything. They've never been in trance before. They've never sworn before. They go to state. I get direct voice that comes through them. And they talk of being a friend from a past life, a mother or a father from a past life, anything from a past life, or a friend that's traveled with them through many, many lives. On tons and tons and tons of, here we go, energies. Just energies. Mm-hmm. So I have to listen to that. I have to listen to these people who are highly intelligent, travel lots of miles, give me money, sit there. They've no dog in this fight. On the contrary, it's all theirs. I just sit there. The great news is, because of my Swan thing, within 5 minutes, this thing turns, waves at them, and I ask them the question: Do you think I'm using wires? Do you think I may be cheating to do something here? And they laugh at me as if I'm an idiot. No. Well, are you doing it? Have you traveled 150 miles to pay me money to pretend I'm waving your hand? No. So they're not. So if I'm not doing it and you're not doing it, we've got two areas. It's either maybe some form of reality, or you are truly, absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. I can do this for you for $100. Yeah. So, and that's what happens. So we end up building a bond. Humor gets involved in the room, but we still come back to what we have. This thing that's claiming to be, and lots of the things they claim to be are crazy things that they claim to be. I mean, in the Swan Speaks, for example, we've got this lovely girl called Wendy, who's put on, I believe it's 3 stone or something. It's 42 pounds. And the party comes through, claims to be a woman who died of starvation in Nazi Germany circa 1944. Her husband died 2 years later. He was shot by either the Americans or the British. So I say to the part, and I say, okay, well, look, can we move on now? If we could, is it time for you to move on? And she says, no. I'm not moved on. I'm inside her. I'm having a great time eating all this stuff. And I said, well, you know, I can have you. Remember, we're filming live. I have to come up with something right now. This is not one of these little script things I can roll with. So I said, well, you know, I can have you removed. And she just looks at me and goes, as if I'm an idiot. Yeah. So what do we do? What do I do? We do like they do in the movies, Jason. I summon the husband from a white light. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She goes into the white light. She looks over her shoulder, thanks us, and leaves with him. And he thanks me as well. And the good news is the woman loses the 3 stone. Now, I would love to take that to its ultimate level and say, how clever am I? You see the stuff that I know, but I don't really know anything, do I? I'm playing this gamey thing with the help of this thing that I call the Swan to get me there. But at the end of the day, the woman loses the weight. And of course, in all fairness, that's maybe confirmation that all of that is true, which it's not, of course. It's confirmation that she believed it to be true, maybe, and it's really helped her that this part, this eating all the pies, is gone. So I'm very much aware of that. But at the point of when I'm in the therapy room, I've paid my ticket for the movie, so I have to believe in the reality of the movie. Yeah, I've paid my $5, so I go with whatever I'm being presented with, and I totally believe the woman from Nazi Germany. I believe she's real. I believe the guy's real, at least till the end of the session. That's the deal, yeah.
I love that, and this is where it becomes. There just happens to be an audience, and now it's just you and I here, because it's where I've been using for years the mindset of, I'm sitting there watching the movie along with the client, and part of the audience may get a little offended. It's like, Bob just said to the client, maybe they're crazy, and that's going to give a negative suggestion, and it's done in a, which the places where we can use the modifier word respectfully and get away with a lot of things. I respectfully do that quite frequently, where I so often here's the psychologist referral, and the doctor told me it was just in my head. Well, yeah, of course it's in your head. Otherwise, you wouldn't be thinking about it. And have you heard of this before? No, it's weird, but here's what we can do about it. But it's that place to bring that humor into the process, that just getting that laughter in there, and whatever reality is there is, I love that phrasing of, I don't have to believe it, but I need to believe it at least while we're together. That, everything is some style of an asset that we can now put to use and now use as part of the process.
Well, yeah, and we're back to this wonderful thing, rapport. And you and I know each other, Jason, so we both know that both of us have got a good sense of humour and a great part of rapport. So back to that question.
I know. During your workshop, you kept making fun of me, but go on.
Yeah, I did, but I meant it gently and not in a bad way. I think that's really important. But you know what I'm saying? So somebody says that's what the doctor said. Yeah, that is what the doctor said, but how did he say it? Yeah. So when people come to me to be mentored, for example, they see people arriving at me in my therapy room for the first time, and people will be listening to this right now. And I know that some people are going to listen to this and think, I'm a complete raving idiot. And guess what? I'm okay. I'm in my 68th year. Leave me alone. I'm doing fine. But here's the deal. When I'm mentoring somebody, they get a shock. When I go 1, 2, wide awake, that person open their eyes and they hear me saying, and here we are, all the way back, fully clothed once again. And they laugh, and I laugh, and it's never caused me a problem. Is there an argument to say one day? Yes, of course there is, but hey ho, yeah. Mm-hmm. This is kind of my style. So I find that with rapport, man, we who have rapport can move mountains far better than someone with mere skills. Jonathan Chase said something in his book once, didn't he? Look into my eyes. It was the best line in the book, and it was, I can give you the skill, but you have to bring the talent. I can't give you the talent. So that talent I'm talking about is this wonderful talent, which is called rapport, that you can say just about anything to a client, and it moves mountains. I truly believe that. Yeah.
Well, it's where tonality and intention. I've had to clarify things that have been in a manual that I give my students when they come to my classes. Of like, you really say that to people? It's like, well, yeah, on paper when you read, you're not going to be made to bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken unless that's what it takes. It's like taken out of context. That is a little alarming, but it's all in the delivery of the moment of, and by getting that laugh in that experience, I just, most of the pre-talk becomes then courtesy that I'm giving it, or really I can focus that pre-talk time not on dispelling myths and misconceptions, but instead of setting that positive expectation of where we're going to go.
Totally. And you chose the words tonality and intention, and I would add on to them the skills of how to hesitate, how to modulate, how to emphasize. And I could say that to certain people, and they look at me, blankly, as though it's, what is he saying? Yeah, and they really would not know what I'm even saying. And I've seen lots of people doing their presentation with no idea of tonality or intention or hesitation, modulation or emphasization, and it's just bland. Mm-hmm. It's just really bland. So these are skills that need to be absolutely developed.
So how do you feel they're trained in the process? Are they trained by giving specific examples, or just by let's call it the osmosis of being in the room with people who are able to handle that delivery?
Osmosis is big, isn't it? Osmosis is big. I mean, that's how I would have learnt my stuff, I suppose. I was a copier, and I don't mind saying that. So the people I learnt from, one of my first teachers was William Clement Stoneman. I mean, how lucky was I to have this ridiculous billionaire who made his millions by selling newspapers, walking down the street, little words that he would give me: upstairs, downstairs, every port of call. What does that mean? Upstairs, downstairs, every port of call. It means you never leave the street till you've seen everybody in the street. So it's beautiful. He would tell me, do it now. So somebody said, do it. What does that mean, do it now? It means everything. That's what it means, do it now. When he said to me, you only need to do 3 things to be successful in life: see the people, see the people, and see the people. To me, that's huge. To other people, it doesn't mean too much. And when I was there, back to this thing, how he and all my other heroes, how they would do that, how they would hesitate, how they would nod their head slowly, how they would reach forward and touch somebody in the cuff as they said, I don't think so, do you? All these small, teensy-weensy things that I would copy from them until, before I knew it, guess what? It's me. That's absolutely me. But all of it was on the shoulders of giants. And hopefully I didn't do what a lot of people do. I didn't smash these shoulders of giants. I stood on them nicely, gently, and I hold my giants up for the world and say, these are the guys that taught me, And nearly all of me is based on these guys. It's all copied. Bob Burns has completely copied people over the years, and that's a fact. Yeah.
I think we call that modeling excellence.
Modeling excellence. Let me write that down.
Yeah.
Love you.
You can copy that one. Before we wrap up, I wanted to chat a little bit, because I know it's a similar background that you and I both have, but the concept of mentalism for hypnotists.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how that fits into, if that fits into a change process for you, or if that's its own separate category for you.
Well, I would roll with both of these things. So, for example, if you walk with me, you'll see somebody coming in who doesn't believe I can help him. My last client today at 5:00, Derek has got he needs to believe that I can help him. He needs to believe that I know things. So what I do is I say, let's have a bit of fun. Have you ever seen a magician work where they say to you, here's the deck of cards, take a card out the deck, and they guess what the card is? And he looks at me blankly and he says, well, yeah. And I said, well, I do it a different way. I just want you, I don't even have a pack of cards. I want you to think of a card. Can you think of a card for me? And he says, yeah. And we play around for a wee while. And I say, what is the card? And he said, well, I thought you would get it. I said, well, I have it, but it's actually in your pocket. And he looks at me strangely, and he tells me this card is a jack of clubs, and I ask him to go into his pocket, and he pulls it out of there. That's a big moment. That's a huge, huge moment in his mind, yeah? And if I ask him to think of a coin, any coin he wants, and he says a 50p piece, and I spew it out of my mouth and give it to him all glowing with my saliva on it, that's a huge moment for some people to be there right now. And if I can say to him, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. It's a huge moment for me to take out a pendulum and show him that this thing is going crazy all over the place, and then explain the works of the pendulum, where it came from, by that wonderful French chemist who showed us that if Psycho the mind can tell Sumo the body that It's ill. Cycle of the mind can also tell some of the body that it's better, or that it goes round and round and back and forth simply by a thought. So mentalism for me is a huge thing in the hypnosis room. Yeah, huge thing. Some people take mentalism with magic. For me, it doesn't work. It cheapens it. Mentalism with hypnosis, very, very powerful thing. Very powerful.
Yeah. Awesome. Bob, looking forward to March next year.
Well, I'm going to show a couple of the guys there. I promise you, when I come there to Virginia and Chicago, I'm going to show him a couple mentalist things they can use in the therapy room with one person, or whether they're doing a big demonstration that nobody has seen before, because it's my stuff, and they'll be able to use it for the rest of their lives. And they'll like it. They'll like it, and they'll use it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming back on. Now, where can people find you online to learn more about you?
Well, I am Bob Burns of Lifeline Hypnotherapy. That's my thing. Or they can join my forum, which is Bob Burns Hypnotherapy. I did it for a bit of fun, like I said, a couple of months ago, and by the end of the week, it had about 1,800 members. I have no idea where they came from. I have no idea at all. But like every other forum, we've got nearly 2,000 people, but about 7 people talking.
Yeah.
So we can brag about the 2,000 as much as we want. No, it's a good bunch. It's a good bunch in Bob Burns Hypnotherapy. If anyone wants to join, we'll get you in there. And that's me in a kind of a scattered nutshell. Lifeline Hypnotherapy is my website. Bob Burns Hypnotherapy is the main forum that I frequent. Yeah.
Excellent. We'll put links to those over in the show notes over at worksmarthypnosis.com, plus, of course, the links to Bob Burns, SwannUSA.com for all the details of the upcoming training. Bob, I'll see you soon.
Okay, Jason. Bye, America. Take care.
Jason Linett here once again, and as always, thank you so much for interacting with this program. Thank you so much for leaving your reviews online and sharing it on your social media streams. And once again, check out Bob Burns, SwannUSA.com. That's where you can find all the details for this live, hands-on, interactive training that's going to be happening both in Washington, D.C., as well as Chicago, Illinois. They're both going to be priced the exact same to make it easier on you to find the one that's the best fit for your schedule. All the details, once again, over at Bob Burns, SwannUSA.com. See you there.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at WorkSmartHypnosis.com.
Hey, it's Jason here, and I want you to be the first to find out as we upload new content here online. So do this right now. Click subscribe right next to this video, and you will be the first to find out as I share further resources, further downloads, and other really cool things to come your way. See you soon.